Thanks everybody for express any comments that are like that. So we want you all to connect with each other, but we also just want you to be mindful of the size of the event too. So try to use the chat to respond to prompts and questions. And if you want to follow up with a specific participant, you can reply to them privately. And if you experience any issues, you can message any of us directly to privately if you'd like. So again, as folks are joining, if you can drop your names and where you're calling in from in the chat, we'll start in 1 more minute. And thank you all for joining. We can also start our slide. Yeah. So today's call is on, we're kind of focusing on the war on Iran and continued weapon sales to Israel, and how different ways that we can organize against this. And we're going to focus on highlighting a few different things. One is, how our tax dollars are being utilized for war and ongoing arms to Israel, and ways we can actually intervene on this by organizing on a local level. So we're going to highlight a local arms embargo campaign. We're going to also highlight a corporation that's played a major role in the genocide and continues to play a major role, which is Maersk. So we're going to talk about the Mask Off Maersk campaign and upcoming opportunities to mobilize against it. And then we're also going to use the Block the Bombs action tool together, which we've updated to include language on rejecting the war on Iran to pressure Congress. So we're going to talk about 3 different levels of organizing today against, to pressure Congress, to pressure corporations, and also how we can build up our strategy on a local level. So you can go to the next slide, the agenda, and I'll just introduce the call. So, of course, basically over the last 2 years, we have seen basically every power in the world system and the Western imperial coalition conspire to destroy Gaza and to attempt to exterminate the Palestinian people. And we've seen how different, countries, different corporations have armed Israel, have financed it, and we've seen how politicians have given it political and legal cover. We've seen how media news outlets have spread its lies in its newspapers and television channels. And on February 27th, the United States and Israel jointly launched an illegal and unprovoked war against Iran. And their attacks have since spread to Lebanon and to Iraq, and thousands have been killed in the span of just 2.5 weeks. The US and Israel have massacred schools and hospitals after, Trump decided to launch this regional war, which is possibly another, endless war in the Arab and Muslim world. So we know that the true intention behind these imperialist wars is for the United States to maintain control over key maritime routes and the global flow of oil, which crucially revolves around our region. And we know that the imperialist agenda is not designed to benefit ordinary people in the United States. It's designed to maximize profit for financial elites. It's designed to protect the Zionist project, the Zionist expansionist and genocidal project, and it's designed to reinforce US military dominance in the region. So as Israel continues to suffocate Gaza through the siege and to commit genocide across Palestine, including in the occupation's prisons, we see the United States and Israel attempting to impose death and destruction in the broader region and the wider world. So for today's call, the reason we're talking about all this is because we know that we cannot talk about this war on Iran without talking about the role that Israel is playing. And we cannot have an anti-war movement or talk about the war on Iran without confronting Zionism. So we're going to be identifying and learning about tangible ways we can take action to, hold politicians accountable and to confront the corporations that are profiting off of war and genocide. And to also think ahead about how we can organize against the continued use of our tax dollars for these endless wars. So, like I'm saying, Israel's military apparatus depends on a network of corporate suppliers. We have weapons manufacturers, you have tech companies, you have logistics companies. These corporations secure like very profitable contracts while enabling genocide. And so what we're doing here is identifying and exposing and organizing against those who are profiting off of the genocide. And so with that, I want to introduce one of our fellows at US Campaign, Kirby, who is organizing the Elbit Out of SC campaign. And we want to start with this to kind of spotlight and highlight a way people are organizing on a local level against one of these companies that is a major war profiteer, that is profiting actively off of war and genocide, and to just kind of learn about how we can have a local campaign. And then after that, we're going to shift into the Mask Off Maersk campaign as a way we can kind of disrupt on an international level one of the global complicit corporations in this genocide. So Kirby, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks, Celine. Yeah, I'll just talk briefly about our campaign here in Charleston. As you can see on the slides there, we have an Elbit factory here in Charleston, South Carolina. They make howitzer cannons that are then made here, battle tested in Gaza, and then sold around the world as like battle tested. And we found out about this factory and about how our county council granted tax breaks to the Elbit facility for them to come here as kind of like an incentive. And they also voted on it without knowing what the company was either. So they just kind of voted it in and then found out later. It's like, oh, it's this company. So we organized on a local level using a diversity of tactics. So we've had a picket that's been going on for over a year outside of the factory. We've been going to county council multiple times. And through that, we also prompted through that and pressuring our local officials to do a vote on ending the tax breaks. Elbit flew out executives from Texas to talk with our county council officials. Elbit leadership and stuff showed up at the council to speak, and along with Elbit employees, because they felt threatened, and they also were making demands of our county council to try and arrest us and have the police be more brutal against us. But through that, we found out that like we can pressure them, and we can like through grassroots efforts pressure a weapons manufacturer, and especially like having a factory that's like directly in our like backyard. We can pressure them to a point where they'll fly out executives and try and make demands and stuff like that. But right now we're kind of it's a diversity of tactics. We've been doing pickets, we've been doing art builds, we've been going to county council, we've been doing more direct things, we've been doing more research. We're also planning on launching like a second part of our campaign with a secondary target as well, to apply even more pressure. Also like thinking about landlords and stuff like that, just because of in the South and just our region and everything, it was more advantageous for us to try a diversity of tactics and gather as much people as possible in and allow people to kind of like express like if someone's interested in art, if someone's interested in interacting with politicians, there's a space for that in the campaign. And all of this is to isolate Elbit, isolate Zionism itself along with that, and also kick Elbit out of our backyard, because we don't want genocide profiteers in our community. And through that, I mean, we've gotten lots of things of Elbit employees not feeling safe, as they've told our county council people, because they're like, oh, like I don't want to be known as working at Elbit. We've had like other officials like tell us that like Elbit's telling them to tell other people like they need to tell them that our employees don't feel safe and stuff like that. But we've also done like public teach-ins in different like county council members' districts and stuff like that as well, to tell them like, this is what your council member voted for, and this is the company that they're helping support, and this is what you can do to like stop it and to bring them into our campaign and organize. And on top of that, we've also we have a local ILA chapter here, International Dock Workers, and Longshoremen Association here, 1422, which, if some of you know about labor history, was also part of like the Charleston Five. Radical history than a lot of the other ILA on the East Coast. So we've been canvassing with them. We spoke at one of their community like events that they hadn't held in multiple years, and have gotten lots of support from them as well. So angles as possible to isolate Elbit, get Elbit out, and also make a point that like we can't, the only reason Elbit will continue to exist in our community is if we allow it to exist. So we make it as much as a point as possible that this Charleston does not want genocide profiteers. We do not want Elbit itself in our community. So that's kind of like our campaign.
Thank you so much, Kirby. That's always very, very clear. And it's really impressive to see like the strategy you all have taken up against Elbit on a local level. You know, conversation about Elbit to the Maersk campaign. Just last week, the Mask Off Maersk campaign uncovered that in the midst of the U.S.-Israeli slaughter in Iran and Lebanon, Maersk is sending 2 shipments to an Elbit subsidiary in Israel. So, and these shipments are coming after a unilateral suspension of transport to and from several Arab Gulf states. And after Maersk is publicly denying its participation in quote-unquote conflict zones. So basically, Maersk publicly announced it would suspend dangerous cargo shipments to Israel recently, but we know what Maersk is shipping when the final destination is Elbit. So Maersk is obviously deceiving its shareholders, it's deceiving the public, it's facilitating backdoor shipments to Elbit in Israel, while claiming not to be participating in regional conflict. So again, we're calling on Maersk to stop all shipments of military cargo to Israel. And I'm going to pass it to Alex now to talk a little bit more about the Mask Off Maersk campaign, about upcoming opportunities regarding their shareholder meeting. And we really would love for everyone to stay on with us for the full hour, because we're going to take action together to disrupt Maersk's business hours, and then also close out with the Congress tool, the Block the Bombs action tool. So Alex, I'll pass.
Thank you so much, Celine, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to be with you all in a moment that national grassroots effort and so I want to break down just 3 of our reports that highlight the way that Maersk is complicit and why we are calling on you all to take action ahead of their annual shipment of military cargo, which documents that from 2023 to 2024 of September, Maersk has shipped millions of pounds of military goods and cargo to the Israeli military from the United States across more than 2,000 shipments, which include hulls, engines, or specialized parts for armored personnel carriers and tactical vehicles, as well as parts for aircraft and projectile systems. So to break this down, many of the military cargo that Israel used to destroy Gaza's life-saving infrastructure were facilitated by Maersk, including Oshkosh Joint Tactical Vehicles, which, as we can see in the picture on the slide, were used to kidnap Palestinian men, blindfolded and naked, to take them to torture camps. So it's this is amongst the many pieces of military cargo that Maersk has shipped to Israel over the last 2 years. And if we can go to the next slide after this, the next thing we want to highlight is Maersk's role in shipping F-35 fighter jet parts. So in our second report, we found that Maersk has shipped the wings for every single F-35 fighter jet delivered since at least March 2022, including those for 5 more Israeli F-35s scheduled for delivery by 2028. And moreover, nearly all maritime shipments of F-35 components to Lockheed Martin in Fort Worth, Texas, or Northrop Grumman, which are 2 of the largest weapons manufacturers, and the most critical production hubs for these fighter jet programs, were transported by Maersk. So between December 2019 and January 2025, Maersk facilitated at least 1,009 shipments, totaling more than 15 million pounds of military goods tied to the global F-35 supply chain. And lastly, one of our reports highlighted or exposed Maersk for actively shipping cargo to illegal settlements in the West Bank. So this is just a glimpse into the research produced by the Mask Off Maersk campaign and the degree of complicity that Maersk, as a shipping logistics company, has played in facilitating the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And if you look at the Mask Off Maersk campaign website, you'll see countless reports and briefings that go in depth on the role that Maersk has played in shipping different components that have been used in the various massacres that have taken place in Gaza over the last several years. And while it's a lot of information, and the information that we're hearing is very dense, what's critical to remember is that we have the opportunity to change that. So on March 25th, 2026, Maersk will be hosting their annual general meeting for shareholders. And this year, 3 resolutions will be on the floor for discussion along 2 main themes. The first is on Maersk's shipment of military cargo to Israel. And the second is on disclosure of human rights due diligence by Maersk. So there are 3 resolutions in total that are going to be voted on surrounding these topics. And after 2 years of ongoing mobilization and pressure campaigns against Maersk, it's on us now to make sure that we continue to leverage this pressure ahead of the AGM to pressure Maersk to vote yes on these resolutions. And now is a critical time to be leveraging this power, right? Over the last 2 years, Maersk, because of the Mask Off Maersk campaign, has faced some of the most difficult political and economic pressure in their company's history. And it's due almost entirely to the research, advocacy, and grassroots organizing of the Mask Off Maersk campaign in various contexts, right? It's critical to remember that this campaign against Maersk has sparked a global movement which has mobilized workers, students, artists, and compatriots across 4 different continents. Just to give an example of some of the impact of the Mask Off Maersk campaign in the last 2 years alone, millions of workers and their allies have mobilized across the Atlantic to oppose Maersk's shipment of military cargo to Israel. One of the most significant elements we've seen of worker organizing in response to the shipment of military cargo from their ports, the October 2025 Italy strike, in which between 1 and 2 go to Israel. It's important to remember that Italy is a country like 60 million people. So we're looking at between 2 to 3% of Italy's entire population was mobilized because of the Mask Off Maersk campaign. And the impact of that was significant. The popular mobilizations against the shipment of military cargo caused port workers to refuse to load military cargo bound for Israel, which forced Maersk to reroute twice and drop their Spain and France routes. So it's because of the popular mobilization spurred by the Mask Off Maersk campaign that real economic pressure was leveraged against Maersk. And these popular mobilizations, whether they articulated themselves through protest, through port worker strikes, or beyond, had such an expansive reach that Maersk was listed as a company potentially complicit in the ongoing starvation and genocide in Gaza in a report submitted to the Human Rights Council, right? The reporting by the Mask Off Maersk campaign was so detailed and so expansive that Maersk in 2025 shifted their official policy on shipping cargo to settlements and put out a statement saying that they would no longer do so, right? So that is to say that over the last 2 years, the Mask Off Maersk campaign has leveraged critical and strategic pressure against Maersk to pressure them to end their shipment of military cargo to Israel, right? And now we're in a critical juncture of this campaign. After 2 years of popular organization and mobilization that we just discussed, 3 resolutions are going to be discussed on the floor of the AGM, and we need to continue the popular pressure so this becomes a top issue for shareholders. And what the last 2 years have proven is that we, as people of consciousness and people committed to ending the genocide in Gaza, have the power to actually leverage this pressure and see this through fruition, right? So why mobilizing around the AGM is important right now is because it's critical for us to disrupt business as usual, right? Maersk shareholders can further pressure the company to stop its complicity in genocide. And we want to ensure that this dominates the agenda and that you can't walk around the AGM without being reminded of these 3 resolutions, right? The second is that this is an effective moment for public pressure, right? Our previously documented reports showcase Maersk's complicity not just in the weapons and the military cargo that was used in the genocide in Gaza, but also in the constant massacres in Lebanon, in Yemen, in the attacks on Iran, which we see actively playing out today, right? So in this moment of regional warfare, where we're looking for an avenue to end the onslaught of peoples across the Middle East region, Maersk becomes clearly an effective target to put an end to the slaughter and an end to the genocide in Gaza. So this is also a critical and effective moment for public pressure against Maersk, right? And the last is shame and exposure goes a long way, and mobilization will ensure that every shareholder, investor, and corporate executive attending the meeting knows that their actions are under a global microscope that we collectively are holding. So it's important to remember that in this moment of vast corporate complicity, Maersk won't stop unless we leverage enough pressure against them, right? Corporations only act when the cost of their complicity becomes too high. So sustained pressure from people like us is critically important to making sure that we end Maersk's continued involvement politically, legally, and financially in the genocide, right? And we've already won key victories like we discussed. Countries like Spain have blocked Maersk shipments suspected of carrying arms to Israel. And our organizing is working, and now is the time to continue to leverage that pressure. I have been talking for quite some time now, so I will pass it on to Celine to talk us into how we leverage that pressure. But I'll conclude by saying now is one of the most critical moments we have to leverage pressure against Maersk ahead of their March 25th, 2026 AGM. And I'll pass it to Celine to talk us through how to do that, not just on this call, but in the days leading up to next week's AGM.
Thank you so much, Alex. You really hyped me up around this day of action. So basically, and I've seen a couple of questions in the chat. Like Alex is saying, like this is going to be a moment. Like the fact that the AGM is happening next week is just a moment to increase pressure. I believe in some places people will be mobilizing. In some countries, you can feel free, and it would be really amazing to mobilize in your locale. And we also just want to walk everyone through some digital actions that are really, really easy. Yes, the AGM is the annual general meeting where these shareholder resolutions will be voted on. So it's going to be a moment where both Maersk's own shareholders are asking Maersk why they're participating in genocide and in shipping military cargo to Israel. And it's a moment for us to also show public opinion, and where we stand on, calling for complete, to hold these corporations and these genociders accountable. And so that's why we want to walk everyone through some really easy action items people can take virtually. And we want to encourage everybody, if we go to this slide, the take action slide, it's honestly very easy. Like, we have a website here that you can open, maskoffmaersk.com/AGM take action. So we'll give folks a second to get on this website, and we're going to walk through a few of the action items together. And after this, we highly encourage you all to circulate this, this website, which has the toolkit, and also host your own power hours the way we're doing this right now. It's very easy to get people on the phone for 30 minutes and just walk through the action items together, especially during Maersk's business hours. And so people are asking also about the shareholders. So I believe the shareholders that submitted these resolutions are relatively friendly. They should be public because I believe those who submitted and their resolutions should be on the Maersk website already publicly. So unfortunately, Maersk has made all their AGMs completely virtual, so there's no possibility for in-person disruption. However, they do record and upload the results. And if you follow the Mask Off Maersk campaign page and follow social media, you'll be able to see what the results are. So let's do first signing the petition together. So we're gonna go on this website. If everyone can click here, which Danny's sending in the chat, if you all can click on the website. Let's all take 2 minutes to just sign the petition, click sign the petition, and then we will come back to use the email tool. So let's do 2 minutes, just sign the petition and send it to somebody or send it to a few people send it to a chat that you're in. We'll do this for a minute or so, and then we'll come back to send Maersk emails. And again, please stay on because it's really effective if all of us are sending emails, posting on social media, and calling out at the same time. And you all can just let us know in the chat if you're done. We'll come back in 1 minute and do the next action item. Okay, amazing. Looks like a lot of people have signed the petition. Please also share this petition to a chat that you have. Send it to your networks, your organizations, your family, your friends. It takes 2 seconds to sign it, and it's very, very effective for Maersk to see an influx of messages coming in from people all over the world. So, all right. So we'll go back to the website page. And we're going to scroll down to the email tool. So there's a section here, if you scroll down a little bit on a little bit below this. There we go, flood Maersk's inbox. So here you can click here to send Maersk an email. Right here on the website, you have a copy of a script, a sample email template that you can use. You can copy this and you can personalize it, you can adjust it, but this is just to make it easy on everyone. So you can click the email tool and input the email script or template into the email tool. So we'll give people 5 minutes or so to do this. Again, you got to copy. If you would like to copy the script, you just copy it from the website and click the tool and input your information into this tool. And if you have time, there's also another button on the website that basically directs you to email your pension funds as well, who are holding shares in Maersk, so you can email those people directly. And for those in the chat, so if you're actually at the top of the website, there's a button that leads to the section on emails. So let's see, at the top of the website, at the top of the page, sorry, there's a button that just says send Maersk an email. You can click that and it'll direct you to this section as well. So you can click here, send Maersk an email, and it directs you to that section, to that tool. So again, you can find everything on the main action page, but let's do 5 minutes to send an email to Maersk executives. And if you have time, you can also send an email to the pension funds. And if you'd like to share these links, you can just copy paste the links Danny is sending in the chat and just copy paste them and send it to people. So let's do 5 minutes. If people have questions, just drop them in the chat. We'll try to answer them. If you don't have that button, please refresh your page. It should be there. I'm seeing it now online. But let's do 5 minutes, and whenever you're finished, just message in the chat so we know to move on. Thank you all for your patience and for walking through all this. We'll also keep dropping. Here's the place where you can find the email tool. Just drop that in the chat so you have just a direct link to the email tool and you don't have to go through the website. And yeah, definitely you can sign multiple times. That's no problem. We're dropping the link again to the email tool directly, and then you can copy the language from the website if you'd like. So we'll do like 2-3 more minutes on emails. You can send it from a personal email. You can also send any other you have. It doesn't matter. So the content will be on this website here. So I'm going to drop it in the chat. Content for the email template. But then you would input it into the email tool directly. So I'm just dropping both of those tools in the chat. Amazing. I'm seeing folks at Code Pink have a big network of people that can also support with these digital actions. All right, 1 more minute to send emails. Also, don't worry if you're having trouble because we will send a follow-up email with all the materials, so you won't lose it after this call. You'll be able to continue to use these materials. All right. So seeing people are finishing up with the emails. And yes, if you can leave the pension fund one blank if you'd like. Okay. All right. So it looks like folks are done for the most part. Again, if you're having any difficulty, we will be sending this material out in the follow-up. So you can, again, you look at the website for the bigger toolkit for the language and the materials. And then on the website, there are links to the different action tools that you can use, whether it's for the emails or the petitions. So you'll be able to utilize that after as well. Okay, let's move on to social media. So we'll go back to the main website. And here we just have sample tweets, sample LinkedIn posts, and Instagram comments. The last time we did this all together here, I think we had another Power Hour last year's US campaign, also in the lead up to Maersk's shareholder meeting. And Maersk ended up blocking comments or like closing comments on Instagram because of how many people messaged. So let's do like 10 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. Just you can copy paste these sample comments. You can post them on your X or Twitter account. You can go to Maersk's Instagram and post these comments there, or Maersk's LinkedIn page as well. So just feel free to use these. Go on social media, post them, and let's see. Let's come back maybe in 5-10 minutes, and we'll do the final, or 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll do the final action item, which is to make some calls. And then after that, we'll use the Block the Bombs tool to tell Congress to support the Block the Bombs Act. And that's totally fine. If you're not on social media, you can skip this part. If you are, please go on Instagram, comment on their most recent posts, post on your Twitter or X accounts, and go on the LinkedIn page as well, and you can post theirs also. And if you finish the social media part, just indicate that in the chat. And when we see a lot of people send messages that they are done with this step, we will move to the next step. And no worries if you've had issues with email, we will explain it in the follow-up. And social media, again, whatever you have an account for, if you have Instagram, go on Instagram. If you have LinkedIn, go on LinkedIn. If you have Twitter, use that. And we'll do that for another few minutes and come back, let's say 3 to 4 more minutes. All right, y'all, let's do 2 more minutes. Two more minutes to post on social media and let us know when you are done. And let's see if they block off Instagram comments after we do this. So you just find Maersk Official on Instagram and you can comment on some of their posts. Nice, I'm seeing comments right now on the Instagram. It's great. For those of you who are just joining, we are currently walking through the action tools to take action against Maersk, which is one of the corporations that has played a significant role in the genocide. We heard from Kirby, who's organizing a local campaign for an arms embargo by targeting Elbit. And after that, we're going to also use the Block the Bombs action tool to pressure our Congress members to support the Block the Bombs Act. All right, so we will come back because the final thing we're going to do with this Maersk action items is make some calls. So again, if you've missed any of the steps, we will be sending this out in the follow-up, so don't worry about it. We highly, highly encourage people to use these materials after the call, especially in the lead up to the 25th. If you can send them to your organizations, to your chats, to your family, to your friends, share these materials widely. And also, if you'd like to host your own power hour, we do have some material on the website for you to easily do that, that you can just gather people for 30 minutes like we're doing right here and walk people through the action steps. And again, we're talking about like complicit corporations and war profiteers, and we're also going to be talking about how to hold our own electeds accountable as well. Okay, final step we're going to do is to make some calls. So again, back to the website, there's a section, again, if you go to the top of the, a little bit below where the buttons are, section called Call Maersk. And we're going to go to this section on the website. And we have a call script. And here the goal is to, again, it's business hours right now. We have the customer service line for the United States and the APM terminals phone line. We also have the call info for Canada and the UK on here if you're from either of those places. But let's just do 5 minutes or so, make some calls, and let's see if anyone gets anyone on the phone or leave a message. But let's do some calls right now for the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. If the number on the website isn't working for you, you can just try Googling your local Maersk office and give them a call there. But for now, we will, that's AP Moller Maersk terminals for the ports. So we'll call these numbers and let us know how that goes in the chat. If a lot of people call at the same time, it might be difficult for you to get through. That's fine. That means it's a lot of people on the phone. So let's call the customer service line, call Maersk offices and the APM terminals. And here's a call script you guys can use and personalize. So we'll come back in the next 5 to 10 minutes and let us know if you have any questions in the chat. And again, I'm seeing folks in the chat express that they might not be able to make the calls right now. You will receive the material in the follow-up. Danny's also saying to press 4, which is the extension you can use when you call Maersk. So press 4 once you call. Let us know if you get through to anyone. Let us know if you're able to send a message. We'll come back in, let's say 5 more minutes. Looks like multiple people are on hold now. Thank you so much for your patience, everyone, and for doing this. I think it's going to be, oh wow, someone got through to someone who then hung up. Great job. Let's keep let's stay on hold. If you are on hold, stay on hold. We're basically jamming their phone lines during business hours right now. You know, even a handful of calls will be effective. So press 5. Let's try 5. It looks like that's what's working. And it looks like some people are on the phone. So let's take another few minutes to give people a chance to speak. Otherwise, you can stay on hold and just like leave your message later or try to reach someone. This is the final step, and then we'll just do the block the bombs action tool before we close out. So let's do another 3 minutes so people can have a chance to speak on the phone. If anyone else gets through to anyone, please let us know in the chat. I'm reading everyone's comments. Oh, wow. So they're saying they're not shipping to Israel. That's fascinating because, like I said earlier, the Mask Off Maersk team has uncovered that there's an active shipment to an Elbit subsidiary in Israel to an ammunition plant. So great job. I'm hearing people are speaking, seeing people are on the phone. Maybe we'll give it 2 more minutes and then we will move to the next action item. Wow, multiple people got hung up on. Great job, everyone, for making these calls. Even if you got hung up on, it's clear we're disrupting the customer service lines and business hours to express our, you know, our demands to get Maersk to stop shipping military cargo to the Israeli Ministry of Defense. You can definitely talk about how there are shareholder resolutions where Maersk's own shareholders are putting pressure on Maersk to, disclose their activity and to actually enhance their human rights due diligence processes and to actually stop their complicity in the genocide. Amazing job. I'm just looking at everyone's comments in the chat. I know people are still on the phone. They're still talking to people. While you do that, I just want to basically say that, talk about some next steps here. What we did today took only 20 minutes. And you all have commented on, we've commented on social media. We have made calls. We have sent emails. We have signed the petition. It's very easy to do this with your, even group of friends, with your families, with your networks, with your organizations. We really highly encourage you all to use this. Host your own digital power hour. Send this material to people. Encourage people to use these materials, especially before the 25th, because the 25th is the day of the shareholder meeting. So if you would like to host your own local power hours, we have material on the website to help you do that. You can do what I did today, which is just walk people through the steps. If you are able to mobilize, that's amazing as well. Even like banner drops, visuals, flyering, there's materials for that on the website also. But again, just really want to emphasize how important it is ahead of the annual general meeting for us to express and to build pressure on Maersk to say that, they are one of the corporations that is, really has played a strong role in the genocide. And we need to organize to hold these corporations accountable, to hold these genociders accountable, and to say that they need to stop shipping weapons and military cargo, right? So if anyone asks on the phone where you're getting your information from, you can say these are independently verified reports, verified by different media outlets. You can say that there are shareholders that have submitted resolutions. Obviously, we have an abundance of evidence on Maersk's complicity. And I think it's clear that Maersk is probably trying to tell, its employees that they are not involved, but they obviously are. And so it's a great job for pushing and for making these calls and for getting on the phone with people and saying that, they need to address Maersk's complicity in the genocide and in the war. And again, I'm just reading the comments in the chat when they say they are not sending weapons to Israel. Again, it's very clear that that's not true. They are sending military cargo to Israel. So weapons components and military cargo are being delivered to the Israeli Ministry of Defense. So thank you all so much for doing this. Before we close, we would like, and thank you all so much for also sharing what they're responding to you in the chat with. So some people, of course, are going to be friendlier on the phone than others. But again, thank you all so much for doing this. And before we close out, we want to encourage people to also use the Block the Bombs action tool. So, of course, we know that there has been a number of Congress members that have supported the Block the Bombs Act. We have just heard from, a local campaign, a local arms embargo campaign. We have taken action around a corporation, an international corporation that's been playing a role in this genocide. And now we're going to talk about Congress. So we know that our American tax dollars are being used for endless wars. We know that taxpayer dollars are being used for to send to weapons companies to manufacture weapons for Israel. And we know that our tax dollars are being used for this aggression and war on Iran and on the region. So we're seeing how U.S. politicians are basically putting Israel first, while taxpayers are facing rising grocery prices, are facing healthcare cuts, climate disasters, skyrocketing rent, as it says on the slide here. And so we want to encourage people to just really quickly use this action tool to pressure your Congress member to support the Block the Bombs Act. Because again, we cannot, talk about and organize against the war on Iran without talking about Israel's role in it and the fact that the United States continues to send taxpayer dollars to support war and genocide. So please utilize this action tool. We'll take a few minutes. If you want to finish up your calls, please do that. Please also utilize this action tool, circulate this widely as well. There have been an unprecedented number of Congress members who've already supported the Block the Bombs Act, but many who have not yet either. So we want to just encourage people to use this. and then we will close out with some final next steps. So we'll drop the link again in the chat for the Block the Bombs action tool. Here you go. And we'll take a few more minutes and then we'll be done. And really, really great job, everyone, for jamming Maersk's phone lines, for being persistent, and for letting us know the responses that you're getting. Of course, we can expect these responses would come from the company, but our job again is to expose complicity. We have to expose the complicity of these war profiteers in the genocide, and we have to organize against them. And we also have to hold our own politicians accountable for continuing to provide cover for genocide and war. So, we have all these materials. It sounds like some people are still on the phone. We will stay here till the top of the hour to answer any questions in the chat. But again, in terms of next steps, the shareholder meeting is on Wednesday or the 25th. So in the lead up to Wednesday, feel free to use these digital action materials, circulate them widely, host your own power hour, mobilize if you're able to, and then also use the Block the Bombs action tool. And also keep an eye out from the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights Action efforts on the Not My Tax Dollars campaign. So we will also send material, if you're on our listserv, we will be sending information about the Not My Tax Dollars campaign, which is going to be a really important way for us to express our dissent and the fact that we reject the use of our tax dollars to be used for genocide and endless wars. So we will have a webinar next month about this. And again, please share with your networks. Thank you all so much for participating in this. It's really great to see how you all are pushing and exposing Maersk's complicity in the genocide, even in the face of the company's responses to you all on these calls. It's really important that we're doing this, and a way for us to consistently build pressure, especially during business hours on the day-to-day. So we'll stay here for another 5 minutes. If you're finished with your action items, we're done, so feel free to leave, but we'll stay for another 5 minutes to just answer questions in the chat, and then we'll close out. I appreciate everyone for participating and for doing a great job with the digital action items today.